I'm seeking the blues. Don't make me sad. I'm seeking the blues, cause they don't taste that bad. Yeah, if you prepare them just right, and then you eat them tonight. Stick to my day job, stick to fishing. Come on, let's go. So we're going to start a week with a trip to Clems. Now, if you've never been to Clems, it's right on Long Beach Road, right before you come to the old bridge. They've got fishing supplies in the back, and once you get up to the front, they sell fish. And this is Bree. She's actually one of my students, and she said, "Do you want some shrimp?" And I was like, "Yeah, I want some shrimp." She was like, "You want heads on or heads off?" And I was like, "Heads on." She's like, "No doubt about it." So she's going to scoop me up some nice pieces of shrimp here, fresh shrimp that's going to catch me some fish, no doubt. So while she does that, I'm going to take a look around. So not only do they sell some fishing gear in the back, if you just need a few things here and there, but they also have some live bait. So they've got some mud minnows in there, and they run in really quick, so you can pick up some mud minnows. Sometimes they have shrimp in there, and they even have this little lone crab. I don't know if he was for sale or not, but I went back up front, and you can buy seafood here, I'm sure, but that's the walk of shame, people. If you can't catch your own seafood, you can go to Clems Seafood and take the walk of shame. But before that, you can get, like I said, fresh shrimp, and they also have mullet there once in a while. Nice jumping mullet, nice good size, like 8-10 inch mullets you can buy. So there's my bag, and I'm heading out, and I'm just going to get back on. I'm going to cross the old bridge, and I'm going to get back on the island, and I'm going to go fishing. But I was thinking about it. All that seafood made me hungry. Not for seafood so much, but for some peanuts. I'm like, I love this place right here. These nuts right here you can get. They have boiled peanuts. If you've never stopped, if you've never eaten boiled peanuts, I have to tell you, you need to do this. They have two flavors. They've got like the regular boiled peanuts, and then they've got the Cajun. Now I got the Cajun ones because I like a little spice in my life, but boiled peanuts are something wacky. They're like, the shell is almost soft enough to eat. You can like kind of break it off and eat the insides, but the insides of the peanut is like soft. It's like you could almost just like suck them in your mouth and like suck out the the peanut from outside the shell and then spit it out like you're chewing tobacco or something. So she scooped me up a big old bag. Look at this, $5, and I got this huge bag of boiled peanuts, Cajun style. She puts it in a plastic bag, then she puts it in a brown bag so no one knows she got the peanuts, you know, because you don't want people to know. And then I took them back, and I was going to show you me eating these, but I ate them all before I ever got a chance to film myself because they were so good. I was just like on the way back eating them and eating them and eating them. So anyway, I got to the beach, and I'm like, okay, I got the fresh shrimp. I'm going to get some yabbies, right? So, you know, I'll put up a video above if you haven't seen my ghost shrimp video there. But I got some fresh yabbies. I got some fresh shrimp. And also, I'm going to set up a Bluefish rig. Now, this is a 5/0 hook on a steel leader. I've got a 6 ounce, no, it's a 5 ounce weight there. I'm going to be able to cast it out real far. And I picked up some frozen finger mullet, this guy right here. Now, when I do with the finger mullet, it's a sort of threaded through the hook. So I'll put the hook through the eye right there, and then I'll pop it through, and I'll pop the wire through as well. Now I use the wire because Bluefish will cut you off. They have really sharp teeth. Now I'll take it again, and I'll stick it in about the belly, maybe the middle of the fish, so it's coming out the other side, just like this. And then I'll pop that point back in one more time so it's coming back around. And that's going to expose a pretty good amount of the hook, but not expose all of it. And then I'll pull the leader through, and you can see the hook right there coming out the back. So if the fish comes up and he's going to chomp on it, he's going to grab a piece of that hook. Now, last thing I'll do is I'll take some of my miracle thread, or I'll just take a zip tie like I've got right here. I'll stick the zip tie through the eye, get it around the fish, and tie it on nice and tight. This way the hook's not going to come out, because a lot of times the fish will come up and they'll grab the mullet and they'll rip it off. So if you have something that's going to hold it on, like some miracle thread or a zip tie, it just secures it on there a little better. But it's a mushy fish anyway, so you just don't want it to come off the hook. So I like to have it on there nice and secure. And my bait was working. My fresh shrimp caught me. This is a silver perch, which I dropped. Not something I usually catch. I also got a mullet, which I also dropped in the surf. So I got myself a silver perch and a mullet, but he was a little small, so I had to send him back. But it was good to see the fresh bait was working. But mostly what I caught was this right here, croaker. You know, I don't usually catch this many croaker in the spring, but this was croaker after croaker, and I got a double header here of the croaker. And here he is right here. Now, these are not the only croaker I caught. It just seems like if you find them, you just find them and you find them. These weren't even really big. I feel like if we went over the canal, I might get like maybe an 8 or 10 inch croaker, but these were like in like 6-inch rain or something like that. And catching a double head of croaker after croaker after croaker, I'm just throwing them back. Meanwhile, I threw out the mullet, and this is what happened to it. Either a shark or a bluefish got it. Now, I was starting to think it was a bluefish, so I was kind of getting happy. But meanwhile, I left a note for other fishermen: beware of croaker. So I left that in the sand, and I just went home for the day because there's only so many croaker you can catch. Went back again, same setup, and this time, it's almost getting to be tourist season when you start to see the Slushie guy pushing the Slushie things. You got to feel bad for that cart's got to be heavy. You got to feel bad for this guy. But some kids ran up and they were like, yeah, I want some Slushie. And he was like, yeah, so he dived in there. He's got a whole bunch of flavors, and I got to imagine this is pretty good, but I already have my peanuts, so I was set up. But Sunset Slushie, you're just going to see these guys pushing these carts up the beach, and I think you got to buy a Slushie just because they're working so hard to push those things. Even though they got those really cool big wheels on those things, it's still got to be kind of hard. Anyway, loaded up again, went back to the beach, another day, and same thing, yabbies, fresh shrimp, and I caught a nice fish, and I was like pulling it in. I'm like, this thing's pulling. I'm like, maybe I got a pompano. It would be good to get a pompano. And I looked at it, it kind of looked pompano, and then I pulled it up, and I was like, no. I got a double header of pinfish. Can you think of anything worse to catch than a pinfish? Now, they're called pinfish. Look at those spikes on the back. If you grab that the wrong way, you're going to get one of those pins in your finger, and it will hurt. So that is a pinfish. Makes great bait and probably not good for much else. So I threw those guys back. And then I finally, probably because of the yabby, got myself a half decent whiting. Now, I'm happy to get a whiting. And I'm going to pull this guy up and I'm going to show you he's probably about a foot. And I kept him, but really I'm looking for the blues. Again, I dropped them because whiting are slippery. I think we all know that. Now, while I'm really happy to have a decent whiting, like I said, I'm looking for the blues, and I keep checking the blue rig, and I'm getting some hits on it. I'm getting some V-shaped bites. And I'm like, V-shaped bites are interesting because sharks will put like U-shaped bites in it, but bluefish will put a V-shaped bite in it. So I was feeling like I was going to get close soon. And I did get a really nice hit on my shrimp rod again. And I'm like, blues will hit shrimp. So I'm like, maybe I finally got a nice blue. And I'm pulling it up and I'm pulling it up, and then it laid down. Anytime a fish lays down, you can guarantee it's a ray. And that's exactly what it was. Now, you can eat these things, and I'm starting to get tempted right now because I haven't caught any bluefish, and I only got my one little whiting, something, and I could cut the wings off this and make some nice little scallops. But I said, nah, I'm just going to let them go. Got my pliers, flip them over, and I'm going to get that hook out. But here's a lesson learned. If you use cheap hooks, and I tend to sometimes use cheap hooks, and you catch a big fish like a ray or a red drum, they're going to do some damage on your hooks, and that's not a good thing. And I look at this hook. He tore it up. So I'm going to have to replace that. Luckily, I got another hook right here, which is a little better quality. Now watch this. I got the big rod here, and this is my 5/0 hook on this giant rig, and I got a nice big hook hit right there. Now look at that rod bend. That's a serious fish on there. So I'm thinking maybe it's a nice size blue, maybe it's a shark, definitely a pelagic because I had this thrown out there pretty far, and I had that big finger mullet on it, so something big's going to hit it, and I'm reeling it up, and then there's that moment when all of a sudden you think you got your fish, and the line just goes slack, and you just know you lost it. Whatever it was, he was grabbing that fish and pulling it, but he didn't have the hook in his mouth, and it's such a moment of disappointment. Anyway, I ended up catching a spot on the other rod while I was waiting, which of course I tried really hard to hold on to, and I was so happy with myself because I dropped every other fish, and then I dropped him too. So that's my release technique. Here, watch the rod again. Again, the big rod. This is the 5/0 hook with the finger mullet, and you're watching that rod, and there it goes. He's taking it. Now that's a nice hit right there, and I'm going to go get it. But by the time I got there, there was nothing there. So he grabbed it, he tugged it, he pulled it, and just nothing again. So that was like the second, third time I'd had a nice big hit on that finger mullet, and this is over a week. I'm catching all these other fish, silver perch, spot, pinfish, such a plethora of fish, but I can't seem to get anything on it. And then I finally felt something hit it, and I just decided to reel it in to see what was going on. And I got do 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 do. baby shark. Yeah, he'd been nibbling on it, and he's not even a foot long, probably not much bigger than the spot or the croaker that I caught. So I'm showing him off, but he's going to go back in the water. Now, here's something you need to know. They're doing this beach nourishment stuff, building up the dunes, building up. They got these pipes and pumps. Look at this. This is what's going on. And this was a shot I took up by, I think it was around 19th Street the other day. And man, the water was so dirty. And an east wind blew down. I was like at 25th Street, and you can't even see my toes. That's how sandy and dirty the water was. And this definitely was affecting the fishing. So I decided to go up to the other end of the island, went up to like 79th Street, and I could see my toes when I got in the water. Still was dealing with the east wind. Now, I think if I had a west wind, I would have had dirt up there too. So if you're fishing on the island this week, check out what's going on with that nourishment. See which way the wind's blowing and see what the water looks like, because that dirty water is not going to help with fishing whatsoever. So I had been up there around 79th Street or so. I'd been fishing over an hour and a half. I had caught little else, and all of a sudden I got a hit, and I reeled it in, and lo and behold, I was so excited. Not because of the size of this fish, but for this species. I finally got the bluefish on the finger mullet. And you know what? Where there's one, there's more. So I'm going to get back out this week, change my tactics, start fishing with a lot more cut bait, and see if I can get some decent sized blues. Meanwhile, this guy's going back. Hey, let's get out there. Let's go fishing.